What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Thursday night football stream. Action packed night here. We got Joe Flacco in at quarterback for the Bengals. I'm super excited to see what that looks like here. This is going to be one hell of a Thursday night football for me. I'm going to be quite honest. Sunday was bad, very bad for your boy. We got a little risky here with some of the picks. We stretched ourselves far too thin. It was a really bad Sunday. But let me tell you what. We're back. We're taking some safer picks tonight. None of that plus 400, plus 300 stuff. We're going back to our bread and butter. We've got 11 picks right now. I'm going to show you some of the different tools that I've been using on doinksports.com. And I'm super excited to get into this with you guys. For starters, let's look at the injury report here for the Steelers and the Bengals here Thursday night football. Welcome into the viewers popping into the chat. So for starters, we've got Malik Harrison, Deshaun Elliott, both rotational guys with this Steelers defense, questionable for tonight. And that was updated as of yesterday. I'm sure that these will be closer to game time decisions. Let me actually do a quick little Google here. Deshaun Elliott. Let's see. Is he a go here? He's expected to play as of 4 hours ago. And Malik Harrison. Let's see. Oh, Malik Harrison. Any news on him? Malik Harrison apparently is off the IR and could make his debut tonight. We'll see if that ends up happening for Pittsburgh. He probably will not get that much run tonight, so definitely not a major key factor here, but still, this Steelers wide receiver core is shell-shocked, to say the least. The only viable receiver here right now is DK Metcalf. We've got Calvin Austin is out yet again with a shoulder injury. Darius Slay is expected to come back to action in fullness, or he'd be a full participant in tonight's game. He's had some knick-knack injuries throughout the season, and he had a bunch last year as well. For the rest of the Steelers team, that's about it. I mean, everybody else you could see here: Cam Hayward, full participant; T.J. Watt, full participant; Darius Slay was a full participant; Aaron Rodgers, of course, still doing. Look, let's be honest here. A lot of the injury report here for Pittsburgh, it's all about rest, right? DK, Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Rodgers, Slay, Watt, Hayward, all these guys were on the IR due to rest. Deshaun Elliott was the only guy that was questionable here. I don't remember what injury he was dealing with, but fair to say it was a long week of rest for the Steelers. And by a long week, I mean a short week, because we're talking about moving in from Sunday to Thursday. Well, as a matter of fact, the Steelers, I believe, let's go take a look at that size. They had a bye week last week, correct? Yeah. They were on no, they played against the Browns. When was their bye week was after Minnesota. That game was in Ireland, I think. So short week for the Steelers. Had to correct myself there for a second. But looking at this Bengals injury report, Mike Gesicki, a key pivotal guy with the Bengals, is out with a pec injury. Played in that game versus Green Bay, but I think got hurt early on. Last year for the Bengals, he was an integral part of the receiving game later into the season. As you can see here, 10 targets against Pittsburgh, 12 targets against the Broncos, 9 targets against the Ravens, 8 targets against the Eagles. But this season has kind of fallen off a cliff, and I think that has to do with the addition of Noah Fant to this lineup. I think, as a matter of fact, at one point during the season, Noah Fant was the most targeted receiver in all of the league, over Jamar Chase, over T. Higgins. Very shocking, to say the least. Weird stuff going on here in Cincinnati. Joe Burrow and the Bengals finally got off to a good start, starting 2-0 on the year, and yet they continue to lose due to Joe Burrow's turf toe injury. He's out for at least another 2 months, and it seems that tonight might be the make or break night here for the Bengals in terms of their playoff hopes. If you are 2-5 here, you'll have to go 8-2 to close out the season to be 10-7. That just seems very unlikely. I got D-bets in here in the chat. Hello, D. Welcome. Good luck tonight. I did not have a great evening at all on Sunday. I was not a happy camper to say the least. But tonight is the rebound and we're chasing. I know everybody in the Vegas world here says never chase. We're ego challenging tonight, man. We're going for it all. Let's continue to talk about this game. Like I said, injury report wise, Mike Gesicki's out, Tanner Hudson is out. So the tight end room is pretty thin. And so I've got a couple plays here that I want to talk about in terms of the tight end position for the Bengals. Let's start in with the player props. There are a lot. I see we've got quite a few members in the chat here now. Welcome in, guys. Let me know if you've got any picks for tonight. I want to hear them. Maybe I'll even tail them with you. So let's start with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, there were a couple of plays that I actually liked at the beginning, but I'm going to filter out and look at the last 5 games here because these are the games that Rodgers has played with the Steelers. And these last 5 games are all games that we can see that the Bengals defense has played so far this season. And Rodgers with the Steelers, the passing game has just not been that consistent. Now, it's been efficient, right? Rodgers has thrown a combined 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, around I believe that's like a 65% completion percentage for 204 yards. Had a really bad game versus the Patriots, I believe, but quite frankly, it wasn't the worst game in Rodgers' career. So not really a ton to write home about here in terms of the play. Now, I see that he's averaging 2 touchdowns a game, but we see here it's kind of off and on. The Bengals have been one of the worst pass defenses in the league per the usual, right? This Bengals defense has been atrocious for like the last 3 years. Had to fire their defensive coordinator, who I actually don't think was the problem. Lou Anarumo, I believe he's the DC now with Indianapolis, and that defense has looked phenomenal so far this season. As a matter of fact, we can scroll down here and look at that. Let's look at the Colts defense. Let's see. Yeah, the Colts defense are one of the best against the run. They're not great versus the pass, but their red zone defense is pretty damn solid. Overall, 18th in the league in reception touchdowns allowed, 5th in the league in rushing touchdowns. So really happy to see these numbers here for the Colts and Lou Anarumo, one of my favorite DCs in the league. But let's get back to the Bengals. Changing out the DC, I believe they hired Al Golden, if that's right, for the from Notre Dame. Yeah. That's right. From Notre Dame. That's their new DC. He has not been able to fix the problems. And quite frankly, it was not because of the coordinator change that I expected this to turn itself around. You got to get better player personnel. And the Bengals did not do a good job of that this offseason, right? I mean, Shamar Stewart was their first round draft pick. He did not start practicing with the Bengals until I believe like a day or two before training camp. Trey Hendrickson sat out for almost the entire offseason. Those were going to be your 2 best defensive players in terms of getting to the quarterback. And these guys just don't have the reps. I mean, and the defensive backs, it's one of the worst units in the league. I think they benched Logan Wilson here in that game last week versus the Packers. That's pretty shocking considering he's been one of your biggest rah-rah guys on that defense behind Trey Hendrickson. So there's just a lot to go around here for this Bengals defense. It's just been so bad. So I first started looking here at this Rodgers over 220.5 passing yards. I didn't hate it at all. The question is he going to get enough attempts, right? 30, 30, 23, 22, 33. He's averaging 27 attempts a game so far this season. And quite frankly, that is a major contributing factor to why I don't like that 220 number. The Pittsburgh Steelers are favored by 5.5 this game. By that logic, it doesn't seem like they're going to be passing the ball that much. Point exactly to this Minnesota game here versus the Bengals. They blew the doors off that Bengals team at home, and Carson Wentz only passed for 173. But the final score ended up being like 43 or 48. Let's see, 48-10, right? But Carson Wentz only passed for 173. That could definitely be the case tonight. I personally don't think so. But I also just don't think this Steelers offense with Arthur Smith, especially given the fact that their wide receiver room is despot, right? It is just without talent outside of DK Metcalf. I mean, Scotty Miller, right, is wide receiver 2. This is not a good, I mean, and he has 0 receptions over his last 5 games. Roman Wilson, the second-year player out of Michigan, has 2 catches. So out of the wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3 here for Pittsburgh, they have a combined 2 catches for 19 yards. So not great. So DK Metcalf is my first guy that I'm looking at here. And I'm thinking if anybody's going to catch a pass this game, it might just be DK, right? So let's get into the first player prop pick for me for the Steelers. I think it's Aaron Rodgers. This is okay. So actually, first off, ADHD brain here. I'm seeing D's calling out Bengals plus 5.5, over 4.5 receptions for Higgins. Both teams to score a touchdown in each half, plus set 175. D, what is that? Both teams to score a touchdown in each half, plus 175. What book is that on? I'd love to get a plug on that. Over 2.5 touchdowns, Bengals plus 150 lean. I don't hate either of those. This Steelers defense has been quite disappointing. But the first thing I'm going to show you guys on doinksports.com that I used tonight is I'm looking at this trending insights right here. And I'm going to filter this out to just the Pittsburgh-Cincinnati game. I'm looking at stuff that makes a lot of sense to me. And I see that taking the over 24.5 for both teams here is plus 1,100. The Steelers had over 24.5 points in 10 of their last 10 games. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but the main ones that I was looking at here is DK Metcalf over first quarter receiving yards, minus 113. I like that a lot. He's done that in 4 of their last 5 games. The Bengals have allowed that in 5 of their 5 last games. So definitely plug that one. I also like a T. Higgins anytime touchdown at home. And I see that D-Bets also likes T. Higgins over 4.5 receptions. I love this T. Higgins anytime touchdown, right? He scored a touchdown at home in 5 of his 5 last games. DK over 11.5 receiving yards in the first quarter. Love that pick as well. I'm going to write that down as a matter of fact, because this is a new trending insight that I've seen. But the first trending insight that I've seen here is Aaron Rodgers has done over 4.5 rushing yards in 4 of his 5 games this season. He's had at least 1 rushing attempt in almost every single game that he's played over his last 10. Meanwhile, the Bengals have given that up in 9 of their last 10. Love that play right there. I've already plugged it in, 1.18 units via Prize Picks. And then I'm going to go back here and I'm going to look at this DK thing. I'm going to write this down real quick. Let's see. DK Metcalf over 11.5 receiving yards, minus 113 DK. Now, I expect the Steelers are going to try to run the football tonight. I've seen a lot of people like Jaylen Warren over 49.5 rushing yards. The Bengals' rush defense is one of the worst in the league, but I just think that you put the ball on the road in Aaron Rodgers' hands early on to establish a lead and then lean on that run later in the game. Let's see. Score section on FanDuel and teams on Bet365. 365 is always known for better lines than most. Completely agree there. I think if you're going for straight bet play, Bet365, out of all the books that I've seen on, in my personal stuff and for doinksports.com, Bet365 usually has some of the best lines. They're usually, typically they're just minus 110, which is, the typical juice that you see. But I definitely like the both teams to score a touchdown in each half. That would only put the game at 14-14. I don't think that's ridiculous at all. The over-under for this game right now is at 45 and a half is the highest that I've seen it so far. I definitely think that it's possible for both of these teams to score over 24.5 points. That plus 1,100 looks kind of juicy, but won't make that an official pick tonight. Let's continue with some of our trending insights here for the Steelers, right? Let's continue and talk about them. The Steelers, this is one that I'm actually going to be taking here. The Steelers over 13.5 first half team total points. I love that. This Bengals defense has once again been god awful so far this season. Meanwhile, the Steelers offense in the first half has been kind of clicking, right? On script with Arthur Smith, they look kind of crispy. Jamar Chase over 22.5 longest reception. Man, I'll tell you what, some of these trending insights are starting to pop off. So I'll take my first little pause here and advertise two things here for you guys. Number one, doinksports.com. Check it out for yourselves. Be sure to look at this. This is the best way. This is one of the best analytics tools out there. You can analyze almost any wager possible. We're talking team props, sides, over-unders, player props, anytime touchdowns, doesn't matter. It's going to give you feedback on everything that you could imagine as long as the data is there to give it to you. Right now, I'm looking at the trending insights section. So you can view this game tonight for free for your first time use. But if you're curious on purchasing a package, use code Plaisant here. You can see at the bottom, PLIZONT, 25% off of any purchase that you make here at doinksports.com. I definitely recommend it. This is a very valuable tool to educate and leverage yourself. So check it out for yourselves, doinksports.com. Let me know what you think. Secondarily, I myself, my name is Plaisant. I talk football, that's NFL and college football, NBA content on all social media platforms. Specifically, find me at Plaisant anywhere on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. I like to talk content. I love talking, sports betting content. I'm talking about my midseason or quarter season NFL favorites to win awards. I'm talking about my Heisman favorites to win awards right now for college football. Talking about my preseason MVP pick for NBA. So be sure to check me out there. Meanwhile, let us continue here and talk about what I like here for the Steelers. Next pick that I like I said, Steelers over 13.5 points for first half total, plus 106 via FanDuel. I think the next line that I like here is actually not a trending insight, but one that I picked up on my own research here. I'm looking at anytime touchdowns. Kenneth Gainwell has scored the second most touchdowns for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it's because he does both running the football and receiving in the passing game. And you can see here, he's taken up 32% of that red zone rush share. Now, Jaylen Warren is dominating this, right? He's 86%. That is enormous. As a matter of fact, these percentages don't line up. But on average, right, you see 3.5 red zone rushing attempts per game for Jaylen Warren, 1.4 rushing attempts for Gainwell. But target-wise, he's also receiving 0.4. And so what I see from this Bengals team, right, is they're averaging one touchdown for running backs on the ground and 0.67 touchdowns for running backs through the air. And so what I like here is the fact that Kenneth Gainwell is plus 200. And I see Pascal Wagers has joined the chat. Doink is indeed changing the game. This is a brilliant way to look at football, looking at betting previews and leveraging books. I'll throw out another Glaze session here in about 15, 20 minutes. But look, Kenneth Gainwell plus 210. It was at plus 200. It's gone up to plus 210. I like that a lot. Jaylen Warren is sitting at minus 106. I don't hate that pick as well, just because the Bengals have been so god-awful against the run. But I'm looking here at Kenneth Gainwell. I see the value was double what I would get with Warren. And in my opinion, he gets a fair amount of chances. We're talking about 1.8 chances per game, per game to get into the end zone, whereas Warren has 3.3. That's not a total flip right there. So I think there's some value, in my opinion, there at 1.8 chances per game to get into the end zone. Warren, by the way, over his last couple of games have been or has been giving up some of the touches to Gainwell, by the way. We see he started off with 2 carries. I believe he got injured in that game. Or no, this is actually last year. 11 carries versus the Jets. He missed the game versus the Vikings overseas, right? 18 carries against New England, just 11 carries against the Browns. Meanwhile, Gainwell had 6. Rodgers, on the other hand, had 30 attempts. So the Steelers were just not on offense a ton. I fully expect this number for Warren to come back up to around the 16, 17 mark, right? Somewhere around that. So over 12.5 attempts. I don't hate it. If you really want to go with some value, over 13.5 attempts, I think has a good amount of value here at plus 148, but that's definitely not the pick here. I'm advertising here Kenneth Gainwell. So in those games that Warren has not played, some of that time against New England he missed, right? And then Warren missed all of the Minnesota game. Gainwell scored 3 touchdowns, only 21% of the rush share in his game versus the Browns, but 6 receptions for 14 yards. If that continues and he is the passing option for the Steelers offense, I fully expect him to get some more yards here. As a matter of fact, that is my next take, as a matter of fact. So I think Kenneth Gainwell has played himself onto the field here. He's averaging around 50 yards per game, especially with his increased workload over the last few weeks. I am going to take him alt play over 24 and a half receiving yards plus 180. And that's simply because looking here at the Bengals defense against running backs in the pass, let's go take a look at their touchdowns here so we can see their full defensive stats. Running backs, they're 28th in the league in receiving yards allowed. That is a massive plug here. I think the running backs tonight for the Steelers are going to be a dynamic duo. These guys are going to be force-fed the rock quite often in this game, especially if the Steelers go up early in the game. If not, though, Kenneth Gainwell remains the guy to bail out Aaron Rodgers throughout the game. 2-minute drill, tight game, fourth quarter. Gainwell's in that game. So I like him over 24 and a half receiving yards. That's my next play here for the Steelers. Then I'm moving on to tight ends. So we talked about DK a little bit. I think we can all agree DK is far and away the only wide receiver target here. But one guy from the tight end group has seen a surprising increase in his offensive workload, and that's Darnell Washington, who over the last 2 games has gotten 8 targets, 6 receptions for 82 yards. Pretty impressive stuff here. Meanwhile, Jonnu Smith has been middling to say the least, right? He started off the season hot, 6 targets, 5 receptions, but just for 15 yards. His line right now is at 27 and a half. He's yet to hit that this season. His receptions line is at 3.5. He's yet to hit that this season. And so I'm looking at a plus money play here. Even odds, plus 100, over 2.5 catches, Darnell Washington. And let me go see if I see any quotes here about Washington this week. Let's see. Underused. Arthur Smith sees key change in Darnell Washington. That was a couple days ago. Let's see what that quote was. It's just not about brute force, Smith said. Sorry, guys. I'm just reading up here so I can give you the best information possible. Arthur Smith says Darnell Washington has ascended via improved in the subtleties, footwork, hand placement. Okay, so like we're getting some Arthur Smith full-on glazing here, right, for Darnell Washington, and we've kind of seen the replication of that in the workload here for Washington. 8, like I said, 8 targets, 6 receptions, 82 yards the last 2 games. I'm going with the plus money play here, and I'm saying over 2.5 receptions for Darnell Washington. So right now, recapping all of my Steelers picks using my own brain knowledge and the trending insights tool here, I've got Aaron Rodgers over half a rushing yard. The Steelers over 13.5 first half points. Kenneth Gainwell anytime touchdown. Darnell Washington over 2.5 receptions. Kenneth Gainwell over 24.5 receiving yards. And DK Metcalf over 11.5 receiving yards in the first quarter. Those are all my plays for the Steelers. We'll come back to those in a little bit as a bit of a recap. Let's hop into the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's talk about this Bengals team with Papa Joe Flacco starting this game. He just got traded to the Bengals around this time last week and had to come in, learn the playbook unbelievably fast, and start for the Bengals last week. 45 attempts, too, for Flacco. 29 completions, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, which, in my opinion, that no interceptions is unbelievably key here for Flacco. Meanwhile, the Steelers' defense so far this year is allowing 270 yards per game through the air, 7 touchdowns, but they're creating quite a few turnovers. 5 interceptions over the last 5 games. I think Flacco at home for the Bengals, yes, this is technically a home game for Flacco, but it might as well be an away game considering that he's only been there for like a total of like 8 days, right? I mean, he got benched versus the Vikings, gets traded immediately after that, plays for Green Bay. If I had to put anything, D Betts actually threw in over 36.5 passing attempts for Flacco. I don't hate it at all. I think that's a solid play here, over 36.5 attempts. This is going to be one where the Steelers have got to be up, right? If you want Flacco to be passing late in this game. Although, I mean, he was slinging the rock for the Browns to start this season, right? So 30, 34, 36, 45 attempts for the Browns earlier this season. That's 36 and a half is a lot. 37 passing attempts for a Browns team who just got their quarterback like 8 or 9 days ago. That's a lot. But hey, we see they've already done it versus the Packers. So I don't hate it at all. As a matter of fact, I kind of like it. So we'll come back to that. But Chase Brown, ladies and gentlemen, found a major value play here. If you want to go to the trending insights here, let's see if they've actually corrected it. I actually plugged this play in earlier. Chase Brown, let's search him up real quick. Let's search his name. Chase Brown. Yep, they got it. Sorry, everyone. This is why you need to use Doink Sports constantly during the day whenever you can, because I found a trending insight here and was able to plug this in on ESPN Bet. They had a special on Chase Brown over 21.5 rushing yards minus 120. I'm taking that to the bank. If Chase Brown doesn't rush for 22 yards tonight, it is a horrendous game for the Bengals. So I plugged that in at 3.6 units to win 3. I think it's a great play. There's just too much value in it to say no to. 21.5 rushing yards for Chase Brown here tonight. The trending insights don't like him for a anytime touchdown, but they do like T. Higgins, right? Let's go take a look at T. Higgins. Let's look at his splits, or no, let's look at his prop analysis and look at his last 5 games at home. At home, for the majority of these games, T. Higgins is eating under this new Bengals offense. A total of, what is that, 7 touchdowns in his last 5 home games. He's plus 220 right now via FanDuel. I absolutely love that. The Steelers have not allowed a touchdown to running back or to wide receiver twos, but let's go and take a look at this game touchdowns wise. We can look at the Steelers defense. They are 6th in wide receiver touchdowns allowed, but the Bengals are, I think, first or second in the league in touch or red zone passing attempts, right? Look at that number. 65% of their red zone offense is favoring passing the ball, right? Jamar Chase and T. Higgins almost get one of those apiece every single game. And looking at Chase at plus 132 versus Higgins at plus 220, I'm going to favor the guy that's got some good home cooking statistics. T. Higgins, like I said, 7 touchdowns in his last 5 games at home. Unbelievably impressive stuff. So that's going to be my first play here for the Bengals that I can advertise to you guys. Like I said, Chase Brown over 21.5. You could check ESPN for that if they've still got it, but over 21.5 rushing yards minus 120. That was a great play that I took. I got it for a 3.6 unit play. So I will be crossing my fingers tonight for the Bengals. But second play here that I like that I can show you guys. Like I said earlier, Mike Gesicki out for the Bengals. Let's take a look at this Bengals depth chart real quick off screen so I can just give you guys a little bit of tidbit information that I've got in my head, right? Noah Fant is going to start tonight. Mike Gesicki not going to play. As a matter of fact, Mike Gesicki. Let's take a look at something real quick. Yeah, he was just placed on IR a day ago. He's only had 8 catches for 61 yards so far this season. Meanwhile, Fant has had a pretty damn good season so far. 16 catches, 107 yards, and a touchdown. And he is going to be far and away the tight end 1 for the Bengals tonight. Let's go down here and take a look at him real quick. Let's see here. Here he is. Noah Fant has averaged 3.6 targets per game In that game versus Detroit, I believe he got banged up, question mark. I'd have to go back and take a look at that. But in the games that he's playing, the full out game, right? He's getting a fair share of targets. And so what I like for him tonight is a plus money play that's over 30 and a half receiving yards, plus 100, even lines there, plus 100 via Fanatics. If you have a Fanatics account, definitely go check that out. I don't even hate over 39 and a half. The Steelers have been atrocious, absolutely atrocious against tight ends so far this season. 8 catches for Hunter Henry for 90 yards and 2 touchdowns. TJ Hawkinson, 4 catches, 39 yards. Harold Fannin Jr. for the Browns, 7 catches, 81 yards. Now, Noah Fant is actually plus 510 here for an anytime touchdown. Once again, don't hate that line at all. I don't think this Steelers defense is nearly as good as it used to be. For a major sports book, you can actually get that plus 500 via DraftKings, plus 440 via FanDuel. So be sure to take a look at that. That is my long shot of the night. A Noah Fant anytime touchdown will be my long shot of the night because he's the only tight end that has had serious playing action here for the Bengals now that Mike Gesicki's been placed on the injured reserve. But the main play here is Fant over 30 and a half receiving yards. Next up, Jamar Chase. Talking about home cooking, man. Jamar Chase at home has been an absolute MFing dog, averaging 112 receiving yards per game. And this is 2 games that he's had so far with Jacksonville and Detroit. Oh, sorry, guys. I just clicked the button there. My apologies. Let's go back down here to Jamar Chase, averaging 112, 165 versus the Jags and a touchdown. Detroit, 110 and a touchdown. This is a Bengals team that slings the rock. So I'm actually going to plug a Jamar Chase anytime touchdown in here as well. He's plus 145 via, what is that, DraftKings, I think? Let's see. Yeah, plus 145 via DraftKings. I also like Jamar Chase over 79 and a half receiving yards. That is plus 114 via FanDuel. I fully believe that he's going to get that. I mean, Joe Flacco was practically snapping the ball and immediately slinging it his way. He got 12 of the 45 targets from Flacco in that last game. So love this play here. Next up, I'm talking sides. And this is an alt play that I like here, but I like the Cincinnati Bengals plus 3.5. I think this is a weird divisional rivalry game. It's on the road for the Steelers. They're coming off of a kind of a gritty win versus the Browns. I'm sure that they're a little bit banged up. They're having to travel, going west. This not that far of a distance, right? Let's be honest. But it's a short week. The home team in a lot of these games they play really well on Thursdays. I think the Bengals can cover that. If you want to have bigger balls than I do, that's kind of a vulgar term. I shouldn't have used that. If you guys want to be more gutsy than I am, go with the Bengals money line. But I'm saying Bengals plus 3.5. That's plus 118 on FanDuel. Pascal said need Fant over 12.5 longest reception. I love that. The Steelers, you said the Steelers have given up in 15 of their last 15 games. Let's go check on that because that might be some real value there. I love that. Oh, and what do you know? Let's see. The Pittsburgh Steelers have given it up in 13 of their last 15 to tight ends. Over 12.5 longest reception. Let's see. So we can get that. Let's track that up. We got it at minus 11 via bookmaker. Major sports book, minus 124. I'm going to go with the extra yard here and make this an official play. Noah Fant, 1.1 units over. Make sure I get this plugged in before the game starts. Over 13.5 longest reception. Pascal, I love it. Over 13.5 longest reception, minus 110, and that's on ESPN. So I have to go and get that plugged in before we start this. So my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're up to 14 plays here for tonight. We're riding big on this game. We're expecting it to be a little bit of a shootout. The over-under at 45 seems about right to me. I think this could just as easily be a slop fest as it could be a shootout. It's an overcast. Oh, actually, no, it's a clear night there in Cincinnati. 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Perfect, perfect Thursday night football weather. We should see both of these teams get after it for real. So, overall, guys, I have gone over, let's see here. Chase Brown over 21.5. T. Higgins anytime touchdown. Noah Fant over 30.5. Bengals plus 3.5. Jamar Chase. Noah Fant. DK. Okay. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of an injury report here, recap, and I will go ahead and plug this in before we basically restart and kind of talk about some key information here for this Thursday night football game. Guys, I'm using the doinksports.com tool. This is a great place to find any and all information about prop bets. You can use, for example, this hit rater, right? We can go and check out all games, look at the Cincinnati game tonight, and we'll plug in anything better than minus. We'll just do plus 100. How about that? Plus 100 play. And we'll filter this by implied probability, right? Scotty Miller, longest reception under 9.5, plus 100. I don't think he's caught a reception all season long. So this actually might be a little skewed. You're going to have to use a little bit of your ball knowledge here, right? Let's look at some odds. Let's see. Max odds, min odds. Yeah, here we go. Plus 100. Samaje Perine, under 8.5 receiving yards. Don't hate that at all. Let's go back and let's take a look at that Bengals lineup here, player props wise. Let's go take a look at Samaje Perine, backup running back here for the Bengals. 2 catches last week for 16 yards, but outside of that has been a non-factor in the passing game. The Steelers aren't really giving this up that frequently to running back twos. Let's see, last 5 games. Ooh, last 5 games, actually, they have. Ooh, that's alarming. Okay, well, this might be a stay away play here for me. I'm just showing you guys how to explore the doinksports.com tools that you can use here. Player props, touchdowns, over-unders, team props, sides. You get a little bit of the injury report there. You can track your bets on here as well. I am a massive fan of this. I wouldn't be on here telling you if I wasn't. So be sure to check out doinksports.com. Use my code PLIZONT. That's PLIZONT, 25% off of any package of your choosing. That being said, check me out at PLIZONT on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. I have a lot of information talking NBA, college football, and the NFL. It's definitely worth taking a look at. I actually dropped my first film breakdown yesterday on Drake May. Big fan of his this season. I said he was due for a breakout, and man, has he done that. So all of that sideshow aside, let's get into the Steelers injury report. A lot of their vets, DK, Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Rodgers, Darius Slay, TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, they were on rest this week, right? It's a short week coming off a home game versus the Browns. They got to travel to Cincinnati. That's a tough one. Mike Gesicki is probably the biggest news for the Bengals. He's out. Tanner Hudson, I believe he's the 4th string tight end here for the Bengals. He's out. I think Sample and Fant are the only 2 healthy guys that are playing tonight. That's why I like Fant and some of his player props. But Calvin Austin is out. This is the big injury for the Steelers. DK should continue to get a bigger workload. Same with Darnell Washington. Maybe similar for Jonnu Smith, but we've seen his role reduce with the rise of Darnell Washington. So be sure to look out for that. So let's go ahead and start talking again about the Steelers props that I like. Let's start with our boy A-Rod. I've reviewed so far some film in my own personal time. Aaron Rodgers and this Steelers offense is pretty inconsistent with when they're going to attack with the passing game, but that's very Arthur Smith coded, right? A pretty tight game versus, I believe it was the Patriots, right? Yeah, pretty tight game versus the Patriots, but the Steelers had their lead, and so they gave 18 carries to Jaylen Warren, 4 carries to Kenneth Gainwell. It's a team that leans on the run more than you'd like to think. Now, the one prop that I do like here for the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers. Oh, this line is actually bumped up to 1.5. We can't even bet it. If you caught it earlier in the stream, you definitely got some value via Prize Picks. Aaron Rodgers over half a rushing yard on average. He's running the ball twice a game. He's running it at least once per game in all 5 of his games for the Steelers. If he can get that one, then I fully expect him to get over that half. So that was a play that we had earlier this Thursday night football. If you missed out on it, I wouldn't take this over 1.5 just because it's only happened twice. Now, the Bengals have allowed it in 4 of their last 5. It's definitely something that you should consider. But overall, this was a play that I liked at half, not a play that I like at 1.5. I could see it happening, but I'm also kind of nervous about it. So I won't continue to push that play. But next up, we're talking team props. The Steelers over first half total. Look at their last 5. Let's see. Over their last 5, 80% of their games, 17, 14, 14, 14. Over 12.5 is plus 100. I just said over 13.5. As a matter of fact, no. I'm switching it to over 12.5 plus 100. Let's see what I had it written down at earlier so I could just keep track of it as a mental note. I had it plus 106 via FanDuel. I no longer like that, and I love over 12.5 just in case we get a missed extra point or a touchdown and 2 field goals. Over 12.5 points here for the Steelers in the first half. They've nailed it in 80% of their games. The Bengals in their last 5, let's take a look at it. Bengals in their last 5 are allowing it in 80% of their games. They allowed 34 points to the Vikings a few weeks ago. Disaster area, right? We've got some common opponents here for the Bengals and the Steelers. The Steelers outperformed the Bengals against the Browns. They definitely outperformed here against the Vikings. So I like this matchup here for Pittsburgh. Don't hate Bengals plus 3.5. As a matter of fact, that's what I'm rolling with just because it's a plus money play. Short week, divisional rivalry. It's really hard to get up for these games, especially when you're on top and 4-1 like Pittsburgh is, and you're desperate at 2-4 like Cincinnati is. Joe Flacco has seen plenty of this Pittsburgh Steelers team throughout his career. This is Mike Tomlin, right? I mean, his system hasn't really changed that much over the last 10 or so years. So I fully expect Joe Flacco. As a matter of fact, let's go take a look at that. Let's go take a look at old Joe Flacco. Where is he at? Versus the Steelers in his last 5. Well, we don't actually have any information on that, unfortunately. We haven't seen Flacco play the Steelers that often, apparently, in the last 5 or so years. But once again, I think Flacco is going to have a great game. Let's see. Stats versus Steelers. Let's see if I could find this. Full-time. Let's see. Splits. Career. Sorry, I'm doing some offhand research on Pro Football Reference. Let's see. Versus the opponent. Pittsburgh Steelers. He's played them 22 times. Joe Flacco is 11-11, played them 22 times. In those 22 games, he's averaged, wow, that's a lot. Let's take a look at that. 5,002 divided by 22. Averages 227 yards per game, 27 touchdowns, just 12 interceptions. So he, for pretty much half of his career, he's gotten the better part of the Steelers. I definitely think we could see him here do it tonight. We got D Betts here. He likes Flacco over 36.5 attempts. I think there's 2 ways to look at this game. Number 1, the Bengals throwing the rock all game long. Doesn't matter if they're up. It definitely matters if they're down. If they're down, they're throwing the piss out of the football. So I like that a lot. Chase Brown, I got him on a special with ESPN. Found it via the trending insights page here. It's no longer a trending insight because ESPN has closed down the prop, but I had Chase Brown over 21 and a half rushing yards, minus 120. That is a major, major value play considering that his line sits at 46 and a half right now. Make sure you use doinksports.com so you do not miss out on these specials, right? The specials are really where you make a lot of your money. Got that at a 3.6 unit play, minus 120, like I said. Aaron Rodgers, I like him over rushing attempt or rush yardage wise, over half a yard. Pittsburgh over 12 and a half. Already talked about this. Now, T. Higgins at home. Let's go take a look at him. Now, we're just kind of rolling through all the plays here as I've got them written down. T. Higgins at home. His last 5 home games, he has gotten 7 touchdowns. Unbelievably impressive. Now, the Steelers haven't allowed any touchdowns to wide receivers so far this season, wide receiver twos specifically. But last year allowed a couple, 2 out of their last 3 from last season. The Steelers in prime time, they're not too consistent against wide receiver twos, but T. Higgins is a guy who, I mean, is he really, do we really want to call him a wide receiver two? I mean, he's like a wide receiver 1A, right? So Higgins at home eats. You know who else eats? Jamar Chase eats at home, right? Averaging 112 yards per game, 5 touchdowns for him as well in his last 5 home games. I like both of these guys anytime touchdown. T. Higgins plus 220. Jamar Chase plus 145. I also love alt play. Jamar Chase over 79 and a half receiving yards plus 114. So with all that being said, we've talked about a good amount of these. Let's scroll up and let's get into Kenneth Gainwell, who has been a bigger part of this Steelers offense so far this season. Definitely not what people were thinking. A lot of people thought Caleb Johnson, the rookie out of Iowa, was going to take this spot, but the Steelers are in win now mode. You trust your vets when you're trying to win now. And maybe Johnson's just got not enough experience under his belt, or maybe he's dealing with an injury. Let me look that up. Caleb Johnson, Steelers. Let's see. Steelers depth chart. No, he's on there. Caleb Johnson's on the depth chart. So maybe that's just something that I don't know. I'm not sure why he's not playing, but I do know that there are a lot of educated guesses that we can make without looking up some quotes and whatnot. When you're in win now mode, and the Steelers clearly are at 4-1, you trust your veterans. And Kenneth Gainwell has done an excellent job so far this season. He's averaging 11 touches per game. Now that 19 definitely boosted that up, but I think consistently, right, he's averaging around 8 or 9 touches a game, and a lot of those are coming in the pass game. He's averaging 3.8 receptions per game, averaging 4.4 targets per game. So I like this a lot, over 24 and a half receiving yards. Only done it one time, but the Bengals are really soft against receiving running backs. We've seen this happen multiple times here in all of their games. So 1, 2, 3, 4 of their 5 games, one running back is ending up over 24 and a half receiving yards. And with Gainwell, he is the receiving threat here in the backfield. I definitely think he's going to get some run tonight. All we need for him to do is bust out one big. Plus 180 is a lot of value there statistically. Let's continue to talk. Darnell Washington, right? He's a guy that you can see exploding off the scene, right? 8 targets in his last 2 games. A lot of positive quotes out there from Arthur Smith. 6 receptions, 82 yards. I don't like him in any time touchdown just because I haven't seen him pull one in this season at plus 333. I got to see you pull in at least one. Jonnu Smith, who has pulled in one, is sitting at plus 330. So they're kind of expecting a split here between the two. I think both of these guys get equal run just because the Steelers are just so bad in the receiving core, right? I mean, Scotty Miller right now is listed as wide receiver 2, second-year player Roman Wilson. Between the two of these guys, you've gotten 2 receptions for 19 yards. So Arthur Smith loves him a tight end, right? Darnell Washington is one of those guys. Jonnu Smith is definitely one of those guys. So we got Jonnu Smith over 2.5 receptions plus money here. I got him. Let's see, where did I get him at? or not Johnny Smith, Darnell Washington, excuse me. Darnell Washington, I got him plus 102 via FanDuel earlier today. I think you can get a minus odds right now, but I like that play a lot. I think there's a tremendous amount of value in it. I think if Aaron Rodgers is going to be on the road, the ball's going to be in his hands. So be sure to look out for that play. Now, speaking of tight ends and how much I like their props tonight, Noah Fant, Mike Gesicki on the IR. So Noah Fant takes over all of that receiving role here. He averages around 3 targets a game. I think that will continue to go up for the rest of this season. 3 catches per game. I love the alt play here to get plus money at 30.5. 27.5. I don't hate it. Oh, as a matter of fact, there we go. 29.5. Let's correct that and get that right. Over 29.5 plus 104 via FanDuel. So not only do you get 4 points in value, ladies and gentlemen, you also get a yard less. So let's chalk that up. So let me write that down. 29.5 plus 104, and that's via FanDuel. So definitely check that out. As we get closer to this game, I've got about 9 minutes left. I've talked about everything but this, right? And I haven't really talked about this in depth. The Bengals plus 3.5. Looking at them at home, they've covered a 5.5-point spread 60% of their last few games. The Steelers have only covered a 5.5-point spread 2 out of their last 10 games. Specifically looking at this year, it's 2 out of their last 3. On the road, it's 30%. So I do not like Pittsburgh in this spot as a game. If you really want to go gutsy, big gut pick, go Bengals money line. I'm not going to risk it just because I think the Bengals can keep this game within a field goal. They've yet to really do that since Joe Burrow was missed, right? Blown out by the Vikings, blown out by the Broncos, blown out by the Lions. Got it a little more competitive versus Green Bay. You can see without Joe Burrow, right? They're getting better and better. 38, 25, 13, 9. I think they take another leap here tonight with Joe Flacco here in game 2. They're building up their chemistry. Plus 3.5 is the play to me. They're averaging here, covering a 4.5-point spread. Meanwhile, the Steelers are averaging covering a 5.5-point underdog spread. So these two games here, I like it a lot. Or these two teams here, I like it a lot. Divisional rivalry at home for this team, the Cincinnati Bengals in desperation mode to continue trying to press for the playoffs. Plus 3.5, plus 118 via FanDuel. Those are my picks. So I think I've made, let's count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 picks tonight. We're chasing. We're saying that Sunday was a fluke. Boys, if you were here for the Sunday stream, it was bad. It was really, really bad. I went out swinging for the fences, and I threw the bat on accident. So we're going with some safer plays tonight. Nothing above plus 220, I think, is the longest play that we've got here. Lots of value found tonight. We're going to take a look again at this trending insight screen to see if anything has changed. We've got the Bengals over team points minus 112 via Bookmaker. Now, Bookmaker, I'm not sure who or what they are, but usually those lines, if you look at a Bookmaker minus 112, you'll probably see the big sports books have got that at like minus 130, minus 140. So I would stay away from this Bengals over 18.5 points. If you were going to go with anything, I'd say Bengals over 21.5 points and go with some plus money value there, but that's not a play for me. Noah Fant, like this is saying, has not reached 28.5 receiving yards in 5 last games. The only reason that I go against the grain with this one is because Mike Gesicki is on IR. Fant is going to be far and away the tight end out there that gets the most targets out of anybody in the group. They're very banged up in that tight end group. Bengals over 3.5 fourth quarter points. I don't hate that as well. I think if they're going to be in this game, it's going to be late, minus 125 via Hard Rock. I won't take that because I don't like a lot of plays worse than minus 120. If that was at minus 117 or minus 118, I'd absolutely take it. Variance is always to be expected. Pascal wagers, good days and bad days, right? You mentioned it yourself, right? We had a A bad day would probably be an understatement for Sunday, but this is the get right day, right? We got to keep at it. We're doing single unit plays for the vast majority of these picks, right? We're going inch by inch, little by little, trying to get up to that plus 50 units on the season. We were at plus 44 units on the season, but that was before last week. Don't want to talk about it. We've got some ground to cover. Okay. We were on an absolute heater, and Sunday just kind of ruined it. But Steelers still like them over 13.5 points. Their bookmakers got them at minus 107. You'll find that to be at a major sports book for over 4.5 points. You'd find that to be, I think, minus 130, minus 140. So don't like that. Jamar Chase, actually, here we go. This is the prop that I was looking at earlier that caught my eye. I'm going to add this to the book. 1.08 units. Jamar Chase over 22.5. He's hit this in 5 of his last 5 at home. Both of these guys, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, are going to eat this game. Joe Flacco is going to be slinging the absolute piss out of the football. So over 22.5, longest reception, minus 108 FanDuel. That's my plug. Okay, so let's do a little recap here, guys. These are all the plays that I have for tonight. Check them out. Look for them yourselves. Look at doinksports.com, but I'll get into that in just a second. So all the plays I like for tonight. Chase Brown. Actually, I won't even go over that one again because you guys can't find that one. Found that one over 21.5 rushing yards. His line's at like 40, 42 or 43 right now. Aaron Rodgers over half rushing yards, over literally 0.5 rushing yards. Pittsburgh over 12.5 first half points, plus 100. T. Higgins, anytime touchdown, plus 220. Darnell Washington over 2.5 receptions, plus 102. Noah Fant over 29.5 receiving yards, plus 104. Bengals plus 3.5, plus 118. Jamar Chase over 79.5 receiving yards. Jamar Chase, anytime touchdown, plus 145. Jamar Chase over 22.5 longest reception. Kenneth Gainwell over 24.5 receiving yards. DK Metcalf over 11.5 receiving yards. Noah Fant over 13.5 longest reception. And I believe that's it. So, guys, I found all these plays on doinksports.com. Didn't come up with any of them all by myself at all. I used this website for everything. It provides you with so much insight. You have to pair your ball knowledge here with leveraging all the books. Educate and leverage yourself. Gamble responsibly. Don't do anything crazy. You find the best odds on here. This is so good for 1-2 leg parlays with builders. This is so good for single straight bets as well. If you're going to gamble, once again, gamble responsibly. And if you like this, you can look at it tonight for free. And then if you are interested in furthering your relationship with doinksports.com, use my code PLIZONT. That's PLIZONT for 25% off of any purchase of your choosing using the website. A lot of subscriptions here to check out. There's lots of insights. There's tons of statistics here to follow, hit rates, probability, leveraging all your lines, player props, touchdowns, over-unders, team props, sides, injury reports. Check it out. I cannot stress this enough. So secondarily, check me out, Plizont, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I talk NBA, I talk football, and I talk NFL football, and I talk college football as well. So with that being said, guys, thank you all so much for tuning into this stream. We've got another one tomorrow night at 5 p.m. We've got a Saturday one at 9:30 a.m., I believe, maybe 10 a.m. Stay tuned for that. I'll announce it officially tomorrow. And then a Sunday stream at 10:30 a.m. So 4 streams in a row. I'm so looking forward to this. Good luck to everybody tonight. It's going to be a masterclass of a game, in my opinion, hopefully a shootout. That being said, thanks you guys once again for